We're going to talk about the difference between having a home studio and going to a studio, the pros and cons of both, and why that is valuable for you to know. My name is Andrea Belita, and I have created the Song Release Accelerator to help songwriters go from song idea to release from home. So if you play an instrument and use a Mac, then that's for you. It's an entire program and community designed to support songwriters in learning the step-by-step process to go from song idea to release without all the guesswork. Learn the technical skills of mixing and mastering and production, as well as how to heal your past, articulate your present, and manifest your future via songwriting. So you're in the right spot. Today, with all of the options available, we are luckier than ever to be able to make ourselves a home studio that is pretty inexpensive and capable of doing a lot. If you're a songwriter and you've been to the studio, maybe you like going to the studio because you like the collaborative experience. Maybe you're just really afraid to even dive into the technical piece because you haven't seen it in action. Then maybe going to a studio and paying that money is the right move for you. Keep in mind that it is a significant amount of money. So depending on what your goals are, what kind of access to funds you have, going to the studio can be a bit of a start and stop situation for most songwriters. So we'll take me, for example. Back in 2014-15 was when I made my first album. It was a 7-song EP, and I chose 2 studios to work with. Now, like a lot of songwriters, I'm like, I want to see what the best studio is. So I went online, I looked up, local studios. I went and I listened to their portfolio to see which ones I liked the most, which ones I thought could do the best job for my songs. And then talked with them a little bit about making sure that my vision was going to be paramount. And I was open to feedback, but I really wasn't looking for a songwriting partner. I wasn't looking for someone to collaborate with who was going to also get royalties. There are a lot of things to consider when you are working with the studio. I was loving the experience for the most part. One of the studios I worked with was really fantastic at kind of just taking my vision and running with that. There really wasn't input other than what I would ask for, like, hey, I'm looking for a beat that's kind of like this. And they would ask me, for reference songs, which are songs that you kind of could see your song turning out to be kind of like, in terms of instrumentation, beat, tempo. And then all of that kind of combined was an experience in and of itself. So one of the studios I worked with, like I said, was really good at taking my vision and running with it. The other studio was also good at that, and I should say producer specifically. But one of the songs that I wanted to produce, this specific producer had a really hard time with. He couldn't see the vision of it. He couldn't feel it, and really wanted to change pretty much the entire song. And he was fine with the lyrics. We wanted to change the chord progression to be something that was just 4 chords and repeatable. Not to say that couldn't have worked, but it wasn't what I was going for. Like, I had a couple other songs that were a little bit more that style. There were a couple songs that were good for that style that I came to with that kind of repeatable thing in mind, that would build. But that particular song really had its own vibe and its own energy, and he just couldn't connect with it. And that's okay. And I think that's one of the things to keep in mind is that every song is not going to work with every producer. They are not going to have the same vision. They aren't going to have the same connection to it. And there are songs that I did write that I would have never even felt comfortable taking to a producer because it was so vulnerable for me. It was such a deep part of my life experience with trauma involved. And so I was scared to take it to a producer for fear that they either wouldn't do it justice or wouldn't fully appreciate the song for what it is. At the time, I was a lot more concerned about what people thought of my songs. And while it is important to take feedback from people, it also depends on what the intention of the song is. Using producers can be a really, really good thing. Using a studio, especially if you're trying to get the hang of it, can be. And that's really if you have the liberty to spend that kind of money and time on it, because you're going to need to block out 4-hour blocks at a minimum. And most fully produced songs are going to take about 2 days in the studio. That's like 2 8-hour days in the studio. That first album that I wrote called Andrea Belita, EP, which is a short album. I loved all those songs. I chose them. I had them written for a while, and I had a bunch of other songs too, but those are the ones that ultimately I decided were going to, make the cut to go to the studio, that I thought had real potential. But part of it is that one of the cons to producing in the studio is that in another studio and spending a lot of time and money on it is that you do end up a lot of times feeling like your song is a lot more precious, like your song deserves to be heard because of all the effort and time and money that you put into it. And that can put a lot of unnecessary pressure on your song to perform well for you. The intent for a lot of songwriters is that they want their song to perform well for them. And so they want it to be the best version of that song that they possibly can, which is why they then spend money and the time to go to a studio and actually record it. The problem is that once you do have it, then you have that extra pressure. Oh, I've now spent a lot of money on this, so this needs to do something in return for me. And it's just not the way things work. There's a lot of, that's just the beginning. Once you have your song, that's just the beginning of the work that needs to go into it. Now you've got all the marketing aspects and social media, which is something that I will talk about in another video. One of the most important things you can do as a songwriter is release the pressure of feeling like your songs are precious, that they each one is its own ready-made hit, because people like songs because they like you and your story and what you bring to the table and what kind of persona or narrative that you tell. And sometimes that can be told through song. Absolutely, no doubt. Most people are not overnight successes where you make one song and you make it in the studio, you put all this time and effort into it, and then you're suddenly famous. I don't know of a single person who it's worked for them that way. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into developing and making songs, and not kind of being precious about one particular one. You make a song and you move on to the next one. And that actually brings me into the next bit, which is having a home studio. There are several benefits to having a home studio. One is that you kind of get to release that preciousness because you have the ability to create whenever you want to. So if you make yourself a schedule and you are creating on a regular basis, and maybe you're releasing a song a month or a song a week or a song every 2 weeks or whatever your schedule is that fits your lifestyle, you get to build it into your lifestyle. You don't have to block out 4 hours. You don't have to block out a weekend. You don't have to try to make 2 days in the studio or do half days or get time off work or spend the money, whatever the block there is for why you're not releasing your songs. I want you to try to dive into that. What is the block? What is holding you back? Is it the time and the cost and the money? Is it the confidence? Is it because building your own home studio and creating from home is going to build your confidence? It's going to get you to a place where you feel like, okay, I can create at liberty when I want to, and I can hire other people to help me make the song exactly what I want it to be. Maybe you can't play guitar and you're like, I just want to hire somebody else to do this piece. Well, then you can do that. And you have your home studio that was pretty inexpensive overall. Like if you consider, hey, making a song in the studio. I worked with 4 different studios, and you're usually going to be starting at typically a minimum $500 to $700 a day. And that's just one song. So, you could do like a stripped down version in a studio and do like 1 day, or you could do 2 days with a fully produced song. And then you've got one song. The whole idea now, right, is to be consistent at releasing songs. You probably heard of the waterfall release schedule where you regularly release songs. What you want to do is keep an audience engaged if you're trying to build an audience. Now, that's not what every songwriter is trying to do. Maybe you just want to do it as a legacy for yourself or for your family. or for your friends, or maybe you just want to write songs for people because you like to do that. Whatever your goal is, but if your goal is to build an audience, then you're going to want regular releases, which means you are going to need to regularly make songs. And the benefit of doing it at home is that you get to build it into your morning or your evening or your free time at lunch or whenever you have some extra time, maybe on the weekends. And that can become part of your lifestyle. I call it music as part of your lifestyle. I know that's very like non-original, but it's a thing that I think is important for people who want to make song releases regular and making songs. So the other benefits of building a home studio is once you learn those technical skills, you are much more equipped to work with other songwriters and producers because you've got the language for it. You've got the foundational skills that when you're in a studio, you know what's going on. And you could be like, actually, could you give that a little more reverb? Or, hey, could you give that a little bit, could you just compress that a little bit more? Or whatever it is going on. If you want to collaborate with other people, you now have more skills and language to do that. As I was talking about before, what you can do is mix it up a little bit. You can do a little bit of both. You could record at home, get the basic production down, and send the mix to somebody else. In summary, there are pros and cons to both a home studio and a pro studio. And once you have the skill sets to go from song idea to release from home, it will completely change the way you approach song creation, your songwriting, your production, your mixing, your mastering, the release. All of that changes because you now have a new level to look at your music from. I have a guide in the description that will walk you through how to get your song to production ready so that you have walked through all the things that help you nail down the arrangement, the structure, the lyrics, what your intention is for the song, who your audience is. If you found yourself YouTubing stuff, trying to figure out how to go from song idea to release, and you find yourself stuck over and over again, book a call with me. Let's see if the program that I have is a fit for you. It is a program that walks through step by step the entire song to release process, including distributing your songs to streaming platforms, and also all the technical pieces of building a home studio, of being able to heal your past through songwriting, create your future, and really dive into songwriting and how it can benefit you. If you're ready for some mentorship and guidance, then let's get on a call. I would love to hear what your challenges are and what your dreams are, and we'll talk soon.